What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. And you're going to be watching this probably on a Sunday night. This is a pre recorded show, but chances are at least Ken and I will be in the chat joining you when we release this. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, tap on the reminder bell and click the like. Most important because that helps with the algorithm. You know the routine, and we are so thrilled tonight to bring to you our very special guest this evening. And Ken, why don't we get to it, sir?
Okay, I want to introduce for the first time to Dead Air somebody who just passed 1 trillion subscribers. 1 trillion subscribers. It's,
More people than are on the planet Earth. That tells you something.
yes, sir. Okay, tonight we are joined by Morgan Lambert, aka Morg's Haunting on TikTok. Morgan grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, surrounded by legends, family stories, and her own fair share of spooky surprises. She shares paranormal encounters with curiosity, a whole lot of charm, and a love of storytelling that makes even the scariest tales feel fascinating. From haunted barns to mysterious happenings in the woods, Morgan's experiences are sure to intrigue and hopefully maybe even give you a little shiver tonight. So, without further ado, let's welcome Morgan Lambert to Dead Air.
Hey,
Hello.
hello.
Hello, hello.
You know, it's critically important, Morgan, that you do come on our show because it is going to bump up your audience, but by at least two or three people. Um,
Yeah,
I need to hit over 1 trillion now. I've hit that.
yeah, the trillion. Congratulations. I don't know what they get. What did they give you for 1 trillion subscribers?
a new
I don't know. I
car.
don't think anyone's ever done it.
That would be the coolest
I have
thing
a
if they.
trophy for you. We can give that to you if you want.
There we go.
Okay.
We got that from YouTube about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's about the highest achievement we've made so far. But thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
So it turns out that we run in a lot of the similar circles, and I know we'll be touching on that tonight a little bit. But as always, and everybody knows as far as our audience, what I'm going to do is step away so that Ken has you for the first part of this interview, and then I'll be joining you back here in just a little bit and have fun.
All right. See you later.
All right. Thank you, George. So, listen, your experiences and your stories You're a storyteller, which, warms my heart because it takes one to know one, but particularly stories about the Appalachians. It is a spooky yet fascinating place. So I want to start with what drew you first to the paranormal, your own origin story, and in particular, the folklore of the Appalachian Mountains, and how did growing up on a family farm, help shape that interest you have?
Um, my family was always a little weird, for lack of better words. On my dad's side, everyone's just always kind of seen stuff. I think it took me being born to like really talk about it. No one ever really talked about it much, but I came along and I don't know how to shut up. So when I was young, if I would see something weird, I would say something, whereas most of my family wouldn't. And eventually everyone just started saying everything that had been happening. My grandfather, when he got back from World War II, was gifted by his parents this farm. It's nearly 100 acres, literally in the middle of nowhere, in the Appalachian Mountains in Southwest Virginia. And that is where he's lived his entire life. That's where he raised all of his children. So my dad grew up there. And that's where I lived because while I didn't grow up in my dad's childhood home, they just put homes all over the land because anytime a kid grew up, he would give them 2 acres of the land so that we all lived there and worked on the farm.
Okay.
So that land is really weird. And my grandfather told me several times after I, like I said, mouthed off about paranormal stuff because I didn't know it was taboo. He experienced something in the barn that he was so terrified by he could only equate it to the Christian devil. Like he was until the day he died convinced that he came into contact with the devil one day. And that was he had weird experiences like that all the time. He never talked much, but when he did talk to me, it was paranormal experiences. And I think I don't know if it's some sort of family line thing because just everyone on my dad's side would just experience this stuff and I was no different. So whenever the Appalachian rules come into play for my family, at least it was strange. And I hear about this a lot. Like, you don't grow up here and you're not told, hey, there's something called a wendigo that's going to get you if you whistle in the woods. We're not told that. My
Right.
family was really religious. So I was told if you go outside and whistle, if you go outside after dark, if you don't keep your wits about you outside, the devil's going to get you because that was the scariest thing that my family could think of as to what's in the woods. And I have been told countless times that it's situations like that. It's not like the names of these things are told that you're not told that, you're told something else is going to get you, but this something else is always attracted to the same things. It always kind of looks the same. You follow the same rules to avoid it. So it all kind of ties together, even though we all say something different.
Right. It's kind of like there's a lot of those superstitions, like you talked about whistling in the woods, but there are things like don't look out your windows at night. If you hear your
Mm-hmm.
name at night, don't respond to it, even if it sounds like somebody you know. So, I mean, as the years pass and you think about this stuff with the legends, are they just kind of like cautionary tales? Because a lot of times in these early settlements, they would come up with these stories just to kind of scare away outsiders. So
Mm-hmm.
have you ever thought that maybe some of this fault might fall into that category? And then, of course, it blows up.
Oh, 100%. I think a lot of it was a lot of the animals here. I mean, you don't want a kid wandering off into the woods and getting eaten by a mountain lion, especially
Sure.
when all of your kids didn't live in the family anyways. There was a lot of death. So I think a lot of it started there. But then I think back, because this, originated in native times. Indigenous people would talk about these things. And I feel like if people are still experiencing things that they said they experienced, there's some truth to some of it. But I do agree. I think some of it was a lot of cautionary stuff.
Hmm.
Especially going out into the woods at night, because I don't think anyone should do that anywhere. If you need a monster to be scared of to keep you from doing that and being an animal snack, then so be it.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing with a lot of these stories. whether they come from colleges, whether they come from your mom telling you not to go in the basement because the monster will get you, and she just doesn't want you down there, you know,
Mhm.
drinking brake fluid or whatever they're storing in the brake. Not that I ever did that, that I'll admit to, but
Mm.
yeah, I did it one time. They put it in a Coca-Cola bottle. I was a dumb kid. Hey, look, soda.
I
Um,
would have fallen for that too.
I would have thought, yeah, absolutely. Now in Appalachia, it's an interesting place because very much like here in the Northeast and probably right down the eastern seaboard, you had a very diverse population as far as settlers. A lot of Eastern Europeans,
Mhm.
English, German, Swedish, Finnish. A lot of people brought their slaves into that region too. So you, plus the indigenous people. So a lot of cultures sort of cross. But what I wanted to ask you about is something that fascinates me because I've been just doing some research on it. Voodoo and hoodoo. There is a lot of talk about Appalachian hoodoo, and a lot of people
Mhm.
may confuse the two. And it's sort of like it's what they kind of call voodoo, but there's a difference in that voodoo is more of a religion and hoodoo is more, oh, I don't know how to put it. It's like a folk practice. And all of those different cultures kind of contribute to that. So how much is it still practice, or do you still hear about it in the Appalachians?
I actually know people personally that practice hoodoo. Voodoo, not so much, but hoodoo I do. I don't know much about it. I feel like that's not my business, so I stay in my lane.
Right.
Um, but I do know people that practice it. But there are people that do branches of witchcraft here out of that too. Just like it's a certain melting pot of like Appalachian witchcraft, and it's not quite hoodoo. It's not quite voodoo. It's sort of everything I've noticed from a lot of people that practice here. But yeah, that hoodoo and voodoo definitely still a thing here.
Yeah. Here's a tip. Here's a pro tip for a lot of people out there. The actual word conjure comes from hoodoo practices.
Hmm.
When we hear about that. Um, in listening to some of these stories, though, there are an awful lot of people. It seems to be one of these places where people just disappear off the face of the earth. And there are certain places that happens. A lot of them are in these triangle type of configurations, whether it's Alaska, Bridgewater, Bermuda, whatever. I don't know if you have anything that actually can be considered a triangle down there, but what do you attribute most people who just vanish off the face of the earth in the Appalachians? Is it just pretty much natural reasons because people get turned around over there, or do you think that there is something to the idea that might be something darker going on?
I think there's a big chance that it's both. There are feral people here in the woods. I mean, there's dense forest everywhere. There are feral people 100%. There's also crazy cave systems here. I think it would be really easy to wander into one and just never be seen again. But when it comes to like the Appalachian Trail, you are stressed. If you hike the Appalachian Trail, I mean it goes, top to bottom of the East Coast. You stay on that trail, and I don't think everyone does. And I think getting lost in those woods also contributes. But I've always just thought it was something to do with the cave systems because if you look at a map and you compare that to like where the disappearances happen in the Appalachian Mountains, it's very similar. So I just think it's something to do with the caves.
Yeah. Well, I can see that because searching for somebody there is like that would be a hell of a task to do that.
It's impossible.
Like most regions that, and there's probably thousands of miles in Appalachia that haven't been charted or
Yeah.
no human has ever wandered into. So, what I wanted to ask you next is that you have and you get a lot of reader submitted stories that you share, and you go out and you investigate or research places on your own. You've got some family lore. There's probably a lot of stories there. Is there one in particular, either something that you've experienced firsthand or a story you've been told, or maybe one of each that really sticks with you emotionally? It's beyond good content for the channel. I mean, just a remarkable, unbelievable, maybe scary, maybe just compelling. Is there something that stands out?
Uh, I honestly think so. One of the common things, and it's not really talked about in Appalachian lore much, but a lot of people in these mountains will see these disembodied red eyes, and they usually show up in your windows. And I grew up knowing that my mom had seen those because whenever she and my dad got together, she family lore drop, but I don't know why, but I'm gonna tell you. She got kicked out of her parents' house and lived with my dad right before they got married in his childhood home. And she said one morning she woke up, he was getting ready for work. He's always been a truck driver. He left at like 3 in the morning. And she gets up to tell him bye, lays back down, and looks up at their bedroom window and just sees these red eyes. And I
Hmm.
remember her telling me that as a kid, and I was like, okay, that's not scary. And years passed. I was probably 10, and I had fallen asleep in my bedroom watching The Golden Girls. And I woke up because my TV was super loud, and I'd left my window open, which I never did because we were told not to do that. So I always closed my window. And I looked up and I saw these floating red eyes. I have never came out of my bed so fast. I felt such fear, and it doesn't sound scary. Like just red eyes, like it doesn't sound that scary, but this feeling in my gut that I got was so primal. So I remember running to get my mom, and by the time she got back, they weren't there, but she was like, "Well, you didn't close your window. You literally, why didn't you close your window?" And I never forgot to close my window again. But I remember having friends over that would like stay in that room. I was somewhere else. They would see the eyes if the windows were open. I remember family visiting and staying in my room while I slept on the couch and just hearing them run out of the room because they saw these eyes. And I thought it was just growing up, just my farm. I was like, something's wrong with this farm. And as I started telling stories and getting them sent in, so many people have experienced these eyes. And I don't know why that sticks with me so much. I think it's because of the gut feeling that I got.
Yeah, bizarre. Now, you've also talked about some issues with a phenomenon that a lot of people have heard of, maybe not experienced, and it's called a mimic.
Oof.
And can you kind of walk us through that a little bit, or?
Yeah, so a mimic is this, I think it's more physical than spiritual. Because I don't know. It just seems like it. The ones I've seen, some of them have a shadow. That's not a ghost thing.
Mhm.
But it's this thing that will essentially pretend to look like or sound like someone very close to you, whether that is to trick you or to kind of take the place of that person, depends on who you ask. I think it's pretty direct at you if you're the one seeing it. But yeah, I've had one terrorize me for years. I've caught it on camera several times. When I eventually did get rid of it, it latched onto my husband and he started seeing and hearing me around the house when I wasn't. He got rid of it. It then bounced to my dad, and my dad has caught this on camera. He has heard me, he's seen me, and it started messing with me again. I assume it's the same one. They're very difficult to get rid of. But I think something a lot of people don't think of because a lot of things will mimic. If you have a spirit in your house, anything can, sound like something, look like something. Mimics aren't that common from what I can gather. So I think that's something to keep in mind. If you're hearing a voice that sounds familiar or something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a mimic. That's a really good thing.
Yeah. So, do you think it's something along the lines of a trickster, or is it just sort of like maybe an agent of chaos, just trying to confuse and play around you a little bit?
I it feels more malicious than a trickster, but I think it's sort of in that realm. It just feels so malicious. And with a trickster, I feel like there's a little bit of joking to it. It's like it likes toying with you. With this, it's like it wants to take something, is how it feels.
Hmm. Now, when you hear stories, whether they're viewers submitted or anecdotal from, people who may live in that area, what is your checklist for deciding that, well, this is legend, this is folklore, and this may be something real in terms of your own feelings on that? I mean, are you listening to the claims just simply to see if they make sense? Or do you immediately kind of cross check those type of things to see maybe it's happened to somebody else or how prevalent it is?
Yeah, when I started doing these viewer submission stories, my main reason was I wanted to, believe everyone first. Because, I mean, you think if you grow up in a place where it's taboo to talk about or anything, you think you're crazy, and people around you will make you think you're crazy. So when I started this, I was like, I want to go into it heart first, tell these stories, talk about what it could be. But it got so big, and people started faking things that I would find out were fake. I've had people send me Reddit no sleep stories, like obviously Photoshop pictures. So after that, I kind of had to pivot. And now, yeah, when I read a story, I'll try to do some research myself. I'll look at what's happened to me, what's happened to people around me to see if I can match it to something. And
Mhm.
if I can't, I'll still tell the story if it's a good story. And sometimes someone in the comments will have advice. But yeah, it's definitely different than when it started. I definitely approach it differently.
Well, I think when you open yourself up and say, you're open for business, so to speak, send me your stories, then I think after a while, just experience tells you those red flags go up a little bit like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, let me ask you this now. This is not a new concept. This goes back a long ways, but now in social media, it seems to be a thing. We all know that fear sells. So, how do you feel about people who um, sort of market in the idea of fear, where everything's malevolent, everything's demonic, and everybody's possessed? And because you're not necessarily in that world, but being on social media, and like you say, you're trying to differentiate between, this is a good story, but it kind of makes sense. Let me tell it, as opposed to, well, here's the scary story of the week.
Yeah.
So turn off the lights, and because, as I say, fear sells. I mean, it seems like people want to gravitate toward that. People like to be scared, I guess, and they gravitate toward that, and they're more than happy to provide that to them. I guess the key thing is whether it's real or not, is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's differently if you're making something fictional. When it comes to real things, I think it's really harmful to demonize everything. I have many issues with Ed and Lorraine Warren, but that's my biggest one. Everything was a demon, everything was possessed, everything was negative, and that's very harmful to everything. And that's why the innocent objects, like I believe Annabelle is trapped in a box.
Hmm.
So I think it's really important to L I wish people I understand your beliefs are your beliefs, but I wish people could look outside of their beliefs and not demonize everything into one little box because it's just harmful. I hate it. I hate it when people do that.
Hmm. Well, preconceived ideas is what it is, Morgan. And either that or that's where you come from. Because I've been in that situation where we've been with people that maybe are demonologists or whatever, and immediately they kind of go there. And as soon as
Mhm.
we say, there are other factors here that probably have nothing to do with that, immediately you hear, well, they can be tricksters. So it's like, you're not going to give up on
Mhm.
this, are you? You're not going to give up on this. This is something dark and evil. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been there too. But the idea being that fear is a great motivator. If you can make people afraid, you can control them. Now, whether that is through social media, whether that is in person, visiting someone's home, it's a great feeling of power, I guess people get because you hold them in the palm of your hand. If you can make people afraid, and I mean, we see that today in our culture.
Yep.
If you can make people afraid, you can easily control them by giving them some type of boogeyman to blame for whatever is going on in their homes, their life, or whatever, rather than accountability.
Yep. Every time. It
Um,
infuriates me. I just,
I know, I know. It's difficult because I always thought, as someone who's gone into a lot of people's homes, families, kids, I always thought the idea of what we're trying to do is take away fear, and come up with something rational, be the calmest person in the room, let them know they're not alone, and not start throwing holy water and salt all around the place. But that's kind of another story. When
because
you do
ghosts are
go,
one thing. What if you have black mold? Like, you know?
well, black mold, carbon monoxide, pipes that don't have. I mean, you go through all of those things because you're just trying to bring the anxiety level back down a little bit. Because when people don't understand, I don't blame them for being frightened if they can't understand it. But
Yeah.
that's why you do all of those things first. You know, um, when you're investigating, what is your go-to on that? Is it photography, recordings? What kind of documentation do you like to use? What's your go-to?
So I actually never really used equipment. I liked filming things and seeing what I caught on camera and getting EVPs that way.
Mm,
Paranormal Teach, actually, she introduced me to equipment because I had never used it before. And I'm still learning. She has a lot of stuff. I'm very confused every time she pulls something out.
yeah.
But yeah, I just take videos and do recordings. Whenever we went to the Bell Witch Cave, her and I and her husband and my husband went together, and I recorded everything. Well, I didn't, my husband did. But
Mm,
I got everything and we caught some weird stuff, and that's just always been my favorite thing is just scoping through the footage.
yeah. Documentation like that is extremely important for a lot of reasons. It's not just because you're kind of maybe trying to catch something anomalous, but it also gives you an idea of where everybody is at the time that it happens. So you can eliminate possible things like that. Yeah. The Bell Witch Cave, when you start getting into that sort of thing, are you one of these people who thinks, okay, it's a legend, it's been retold, any legend that's retold grows arms and legs and it gets bigger than what it is? But are you one of those people that says, at the heart of it is the grain of truth? So let's see if we can find that truth and what happened from there. Because the Bell Witch, I mean, I know we think we're really smart in this day and age, and they were, you know, back then. But that turned out to be one of the best documented hauntings in our history. It really did, whether it was intended that way or not. There was an awful lot written about that at the moment. So to me, that's what's fascinating about that story. What did you come up with there?
So I'm kind of a mix. I like to think there's a little grain of truth everywhere, but at the end of the day, you're right, fear sells. And I think a lot of places didn't weren't haunted. Like I think the Amityville is a really interesting one. I can never quite decide what I believe on that one because I mean, you have all these stories of it being haunted, but then you have the family being like, "No, it's not." I feel like I should believe the family.
Hmm.
But when it comes to the Bell Witch Cave, I think I was biased because I grew up hearing that story. It's always been I wanted to visit that place the most. And so I went into it being like, there's got to be something here. Like, I just knew there was something there. Um, I was concerned. My biggest concern going there wasn't about the hauntings or anything. I was worried that they were going to demonize Kate because everyone likes to say that the neighbor was the witch and she was really just a woman who spoke.
Even though she
But they
was
didn't
a
do
wife
that.
at the time, yeah.
Yeah, she was the head of her house and she dared to speak, and so she was the witch. But yeah, I that was an interesting place. That was the most active place I have ever been in my life.
Really? Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's saying something. Oh, and by the way, Andrew Jackson never visited the Bell Farm, so
I believe you.
we can put that away too. But when we're talking about that, the thing that we're a little more enlightened about is we understand about things like mass hysteria, mental illness, postpartum depression, all the rest of these things that people forever and ever and ever have been afflicted with. And that has affected, their judgment and their perceptions and things like that. So you can't ever really write that off. And, it's not to be cynical about any of those things because I don't want to discount them just because they were 100 years ago, you know.
Hmm.
But we have a better understanding of, what might have been the catalyst for some of those things, especially in places like that, because we're not talking about the big city. We're talking about a level of isolation for people, whether it's in Adams, Tennessee, or the Appalachians, and just not having that human interaction. You got to be wired a little bit differently to live there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, do you have anything on your wish list or anywhere that you have the ability to travel to that's like, yeah, I want to check that out?
The ability to travel to, probably the Winchester Mansion. I've always wanted to visit that in California, but one
Mhm.
out of my grasp, at least for the time being, is the Paris catacombs.
Why the catacombs?
I don't want to investigate, I just want to see it. Like, I wouldn't investigate anything, I just want to go. But
Right.
it's said to be haunted, so it felt valid to say. That's probably my most, I want to visit there the most, I think.
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes in going to these places, they call it dark tourism these days, and it's not necessarily break out the recorders and stuff, but just to have a firsthand experience there at these kind of places, it seems like that's the thing that mostly appeals to you. I just want to see them for myself.
Yeah, I do. I like seeing if places are actually, and that was my thing with the Bell Witch Cave too. I was excited to see if it was all it was cracked up to be. It's really interesting to see, how much of it was for show. Because I mean, I met the Annabelle doll and I felt nothing bad, but I
Mm.
grew up thinking she was going to break the glass and just come strangle me. So it was very different.
How much of that? And I want to bring George in here in a bit, but one more question for you on that. I am with you on that. Okay, as far as the Annabelle doll and those type of things. Um, but I think people sometimes it's easier said than done when you have to put away suggestion, you have to put away the stories, you have to clear your mind of that thing and understand that where you're at, where your feet are at this point. And it never ceases to amaze me how many people comment on this thing like, you need to get that doll out of here. You shouldn't bring that on the road. I don't want to look in its eyes. I don't want to, you know, it's freaky to me because, you figure in this day and age of information, everybody would be a little calmer about that stuff. But man, people just, they let them, they let it into their head.
It's also just rude. Like, it's so disrespectful to the objects if there is something there. Whenever I met her, I'm not gonna name drop the influencer, but we got in an hour early to I was by myself with Annabelle with just the Nespar team for almost an hour. But another influencer came in behind me and she was being so dramatic. She was screaming, like she was cussing Annabelle. And it's like, why are you in the room? You chose to be in that room and you're acting like this, and it
I think people just like to play that game. We have a thing, we like to be scared and then we can get in our cars and go home. We like to watch the scary movie and then we can turn it off and go to bed, but maybe it's the adrenaline part of it or whatever, but it never ceases to amaze me how people can't think more critically about these things. Not to the point where, well, it could be, it could be. They have absolutely immersed themselves in the idea that something really awful is going to happen here. And then you get that retro thinking that 2 weeks from now, you get a flat tire, which happens. Oh, must have been Annabelle.
yep.
And that brings it on to. All right, I'm going to bring George in here. I appreciate your time here. George, come on in, and I'll be back a little bit later. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Tag 22 minutes, 12 seconds into the interview. I have been laser focused on your screen uh, because you've posted so many things on your social media, and in the middle of it, you're getting interrupted by noises, by all kinds of different things. And I saw over your what would be your right shoulder for us, yeah, but behind the chair was some sort of a wisp, almost an L-shaped wisp that went back behind the chair.
I would be curious to know when that happened because you guys are attached to a ring light and it was just doing this randomly as I was talking and I was trying to ignore it, but it was just swirling.
Yeah, 22:12, 22 minutes and 12 seconds into the interview.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back and take a look at that myself, and I'm sure the people watching are gonna do the same because they love checking that stuff out. And you have a lot of activity or have had a lot of activity in the house, even during your postings on social media. How are things today?
Things have ramped up a lot. They just
Oh,
do that from time to time. I have a doll. Her name's Andy, but she's sort of a like portal vessel situation. She has a situation going on and things pass through her. So there's always something new going on. But whatever's in here now really likes messing with technology. So I'll have camera malfunctions, I will hear weird things. Yeah, I've posted a lot of clips of just weird background noises, but the new thing it's doing is scratching on the walls, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
you know we have a mutual friend who's dealing with the same thing right now, don't you?
Yeah, it's probably her fault, honestly.
She didn't gift you this doll, did she?
No, she didn't.
No.
Anytime something weird like that happens, especially camera situations, I'm like, which one of your friends is doing this to me?
Yeah, when we've had Tej on in the past, there's one particular one, and you guys in the chat, while when we're posting this, can put the name back in because it escapes me. But one of them, every time she mentions him, her computer screen freezes up, completely freezes
It's
up.
Jer.
That's it. That's know
Jer.
him well. Take me
Yeah.
through where you started. And I understand it's a big part of it was you talking about the farmhouse you grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and that kind of went viral to an extent. But what grabbed your attention to want to start your channels, and then how did it, if it did at all, evolve once it started to really take off?
So I'm 27. I just turned 27, so that's
You look
weird to
like
say
a
out loud.
baby. My goodness.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been going through it this week. Um, so I had a YouTube channel when I was in high school, and I've always loved scary stuff. It's always been my thing. And I talked about scary stuff. Well, come to find out, some of my adult cousins, for no reason, were just ripping me apart behind my back. And I was a teenager and it hurt my feelings, so I deleted my YouTube channel. And I was like, that's shelved. I'm never doing that again. Went to college for nursing. Hated it. Hated college. And I remember being here one day scrolling through TikTok. I think it was still Musically at that point. Like it was a while ago. someone was telling their ghost stories, and people in the comments were being so nice. And I was like, is this a safe space? Am I able to tell my stories? So I actually filmed a video. I don't remember which story I told, but I know it was about my family's farm. Might have been the devil in the barn story from my grandfather, but people loved it, and everyone was so nice. And so I started a series with that, and then people started sending me their stories. So I started telling other stories, and it just morphed into this huge thing that I lost control of myself.
You're finding yourself now, as you said, sharing the stories of others, but there are points
Mhm.
where you even considered that, and one of the questions you had on one of your posts is talking about this, creating it in your own environment. In other
Mm.
words, you're talking about specific entities and experiences people are having, and then suddenly, bam, it's happening in your own home. Is that a self manifestation? Have you kind of analyzed in your own head what is creating this?
I do think a lot of times I'm creating it because I mean I get scared when I read these because I always read them at night because I'm insane. So I'll be in here by myself in the dark. I'm reading these stories about La Llorona, and then suddenly I'm like, she's in my corner. I'm so scared I can't go to sleep. So I think a lot of it's self-inflicted, but there have been a few stories where you just feel something behind it. You just know when something's real, and then weird stuff will start to happen. And I mean, with Paranormal Teach, her I remember doing a story about Jer, and oh my god, I forgot this happened. So he messes with my camera. That's just his thing. He always messes with videos. But I remember being downstairs in my bathroom and something was just trying to get in. Like it was such direct activity. Like the doorknob was jiggling, the door was like slamming around. And I, for some reason, was telling her about this, and she was like, "Oh, that's him." So sometimes stuff like that does happen when I get stories. That wasn't even a story. I don't know what I was doing. I was just talking about him, but sometimes stuff does happen and it's more than just in my head or my own manifestation.
So the mimic you were talking about with Ken earlier, was that
Mhm.
something that you may have manifested, or that was just a big surprise for you all around? Unmentioned, undiscussed, and then there it is.
No, I had no idea what a mimic was before this happened. I definitely didn't like start the topic of mimics on TikTok, but I think I was one of the first ones that started talking about it. I had no idea what it was. I got mimic and doppelganger confused. Like a doppelganger is a real person that just looks like you that you see out in public. But I didn't know what it was, and I remember posting a clip or a story. I don't remember what I posted first. I don't know if it
I
was a story or
You
something I
did
caught
one
on
about
camera.
Waverly, I know that.
Yes.
The mimic at Waverly, yeah.
Yes, but this one, the first one that I uploaded when I saw my husband on camera was in 2019-ish, I think. And that was like the first time I'd ever heard of a mimic. So that was just me. And I have no idea how long it was around me. I don't know how it got attached to me. I don't really know where they spawn from, but I know once they're there, they just bounce.
Interesting. I again have had some experiences. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, we experienced a mimic. We did also at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and it's a legitimate thing, and it's certainly off-putting when you experience it firsthand. But when it started happening in my own home and hearing family members and then going in, "Did you call me?" "No, I didn't say a thing." Okay, and you wonder again whether or not the origin is something that's nefarious or it's just a prankster jokester. But as you were saying, there's an extra feeling that comes along with it. Have you been perceived by people with gifts to have that gift also?
Yes.
Is it a is it a bonus or is it a negative scenario when it comes to what you do?
I feel like for my chosen career path, it's good. For my mental health, it's not always the best.
It can tear you down.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is immersing because, again, you do a lot of posting, which is necessary. We've had multiple discussions with Paranormal Tees about the success. I mean, I've been doing this show for 18 years, and we're not nearly to, I mean, you've got 1 million followers on TikTok. That's an insane number. That's
That's a
insane.
lot of people.
And so when, we're talking to her about it, and she says, "Yeah, I put about 60 hours of work in a week, and you got to constantly be on top of it." And then I'm looking, and it's like one a day with you. It's like going through. It's got to be taxing at some point in time. And how do you escape from it? What is your outlet? Because even when you and your husband are out, you're out at spooky places. You're out at these, Halloween train rides. So how do you escape it?
Luckily I love it, so I don't necessarily need to break a lot, but my biggest piece of advice for posting, to film a bunch at once, and I know that's easier said than done, especially for you guys, but for me, I will film like probably 3 days out of the week. The rest I'm writing scripts and editing and doing all that stuff and researching. But I only film those certain days, and I find that easier to compartmentalize.
Tag it
That
again.
way I'm not.
46, 46, 23. That same wisp went by your shoulder. I'm writing
Did
it
it
down.
really?
Yeah, when we finish up the interview and this weekend when I do it in post, I may just repeat it a couple of times so people can see it. Yeah.
And there's
And
nothing in here. I don't have any animals or anything.
no, I'll send it to you, the times. I'll send it to you after the interview.
Okay.
Quite interesting on there. So, kind of jealous you met Annabelle. Kind of jealous you got in there with a media pass. How'd you
I
work
did.
that one out? How did you work that one out? Is it
I reached out to Scarefest. I had worked with horror conventions. I get media passes for a bunch. I've done Smoky Mountain Terror, Mad Monster, just all different kinds. So I reached out to Scarefest and I asked for one for them. So in turn, I don't get any money for it, but I get in early, I get in free, I get extra tickets, and I just have to promote their convention and film it and post and all that. So with that, I got in to meet Annabelle an hour early.
and based on your discussion about it, you were kind of fixated on her. You were going around looking at all
Yeah,
the other items, but you kept getting drawn back to her. Why?
I did find that strange. And to be quite honest, I didn't really clock it as weird until other people were telling me it happened to them. Because I thought, oh, I grew up watching these movies. I've always studied her. I'm just excited. Like, I don't want to leave her. But it was like I physically couldn't leave. And I remember whenever we left the museum part, I was sad. Like, I was really depressed. And before we left the convention, I looked at my husband and I was like, should we go tell her goodbye? And he was like, no. We already did. I'm not going back down 3 flights of stairs. So it was strange.
You find yourself now living, I believe, on the East Coast, correct?
Yes.
So you've heard and watched such of the social media now with regards to the Conjuring House. If the right property owners take over and if it becomes a place where people can go to investigate again, is that on your bucket list?
Yes.
Something you'd love to
100%.
see?
Yes.
Because of the movie or because it's just a great paranormal hub?
The paranormal stories, I am friends with, she used to be a tour guide there, and the stories she's told me, she found out she was pregnant from like an EVP there before she knew. I would love to go to that house.
That would be interesting to see you make a couple of clips about that once you get a chance to go there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not say something about visiting Robert the Doll in the next couple of months?
Yes, me and Paranormal Tish actually plan to do that.
Oh, so she told you about meeting David Sloan?
I watched it. I was live in the chat.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, I am thrilled to have made the connection with the two of you and David Sloan for you guys to go down there and experience that. And something else that I'll tell you post live that you might be interested in also, but I'll bring that up later for you. As
Okay.
far as investigating, then, the team consists of Who?
Well, it's just me, Paranormal Tej, her husband, and my husband do it. We haven't really branched out to anyone else, but usually when you go to these haunted locations, they already have like an in-house paranormal team, so you get more people added onto it anyways.
Who's the team leader? Is there one?
Probably Tej. I feel like she
I could see
plans
that.
everything well. Yeah, I just kind of go along with her. I trust her.
You guys live close enough together?
No, we
I didn't
live
think so, because
11
she's up by
hours
Chicago.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So
be
it's
together next week.
yeah, it's got to be coordinated way in advance
Yeah, a few months.
to get something like that. And you, I can't believe this that you're saying this because it's the one thing that we loathe, but you love doing review.
Hmm.
All your evidence review. Well, I guess if it's just one form of the media, meaning the video, it makes it a lot easier. But if you're going out there with 4 or 5 recorders and have to listen to each one of those in sequence, that's painstaking.
Yeah, I don't do that. Maybe I should branch out and do more, but I can't. I know I can't handle it, so I'm not gonna do it.
Well, you're working in tandem with Teej, and she brings all that stuff with her.
She does, yeah.
So that gives you a little bit more freedom to just go out and experience and sense what it is. And I would
Yeah.
imagine that because you have the gift that, whether or not you look at it as a bonus or not, but that gift allows you to go into places and pick up on things before you even start your investigation.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so far, your favorite location to investigate is at the Bell Witch Cave,
Oh yeah.
or are you still fond of the opportunities that lie ahead?
It's gonna be hard to beat that one. I went back 2 weeks later. I loved it so much.
Well, it's going to be one of those places again that the reason why we all know it is because it's that infamous.
Mhm.
But there are a ton of those that are out there also. I mean, in just your area alone, travel time, and you can get to a Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
I know it's on my list. I wanna go to that and Waverly next year so bad.
How's it change out there for you going from the Appalachian Mountains and a huge acreage farm to the Carolinas?
The Carolinas, it's not too different. Now, Nashville was a culture shock. I had never been that far west. That was weird. There was
And
no mountains. I didn't know who I was.
and so how long have you now been on the East Coast?
Oh, my whole life. So 27 years.
Well, then but you lived on the farm though, right? In the
Yeah.
Appalachian Mountains? Is that part of it?
Mhm.
Why am
Yeah.
I thinking it's
Yeah.
further west?
No. No, I only live 15 minutes away from that farm now. I've always lived in this little area.
The one other thing I wanted to talk about were the movies. It's not just you talking about, "Hey, go watch this movie." You watch a ton of horror films.
Mhm.
How does that play into your psyche? Because you're gonna get nightmares, you're gonna certainly look over your shoulder once the movie's over.
I honestly don't watch them as much as I used to. Now if I watch a scary movie, it's because a director reached out to me to watch it. Okay, this is strange. So I act now. I'm in scary movies, and I feel like acting in them kind of ruined them
Yeah,
because
The
now I
Conjuring
just
tapes, is that the name of it?
yeah, I was in that. I feel like it kind of ruins it because I don't know, kind of killed the magic for me. I don't watch many scary movies now.
Yeah, you saw the wizard behind the curtain now, didn't you?
Yeah, maybe I'll find my love back for it again. Maybe I just ran out of time and like kind of like getting in a reading slump, but I just haven't been watching much.
Are they in post right now, post-production for The Conjuring tapes, or is it out and available?
It's out. It might be on Tubi. I have to double check. I think it's streaming for free on Tubi.
That's incredible. Look at that, a movie star on our channel.
No.
Ken, if you wanna come join us back on again, but we are coming up on that hour. So at top of the hour, we're gonna go ahead and take our break at this point, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our discussion with the daughter of Melissa Lambert. the country rock star singer. Morgan Lambert, continue joining us on the other side of the break. You're watching Dead or Live on a Dead or Full Spectrum channel.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on
This
display.
is war with the enemy. Think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me. I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic. You can't stop it, it's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go!
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas.
I can tell we need to talk about things, so I'll let you start. Yes, I'm listening. Oh, I understand that. You need help with what you say? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy, because the last time that we talked about this, I felt like I was really clear. I gave you everything that you needed to hear, but you're still asking me for more. No, I'm just trying to understand what you're asking for. Because the only thing that I can't really describe right now is how angry I am about you not listening to what I said before. You're just not listening. You're projecting and you're not listening. You're not listening. No, you're not listening. All right, what do you have to say? I'm listening. You make me feel like I'm losing my mind. I said it, and you're still not understanding. I've given you everything that you've been looking for. What else could I do? What else can I give you? What else can I say? What else do you need from me? I am. I'm going crazy. Yeah, I'm repetitive. I'm saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why should I repeat myself? 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 Why should I repeat myself?
All right, guys, welcome back to our show. I'm going to turn it back over to Ken now. And Morgan, thank you for being with us for this extended time. And again, you guys, don't forget to mark down those times, 22:12 and 46:32. I'm going to keep an eye on the screen. I'll be back in just a little bit, Morgan.
All right. So following along on that. So when you are involved in social media as you are, is there a forward-looking plan? Like, where do you see this being, say, 5 years from now for you?
I plan on acting. I've also branched off into writing. I write a ton. Um, I know social media doesn't last forever. I'd love for it to. It's really fun. But my 5-year plan would be to start acting more, directing maybe a few things, and writing, things like that.
Yeah, what kind of genres, as far as film and those things, are you drawn to?
Definitely horror. It's in
Yeah,
my blood.
definitely horror. Yeah. So, are you a kind of like you never see the ghost, Alfred Hitchcock type person or are you a slasher film type person?
Oh, I love a slasher.
You do.
I love a goofy slasher, yeah.
Does it do you look at those things like they're in the lens of like a comedy almost where it's just so over the top that you can't help but chuckle at the different creative ways people die these days?
Yeah, that's how I look at like Scream and Terrifier for sure. It's just they're just goofy. It's like they're I mean it's scary in some parts, but it's easy and fun to watch, which sounds really messed up coming out of my mouth considering it's nothing but killing people.
Well, I mean, see, that's my probably my criticism of it is like, where does it get to be the point it's gratuitous? Because I love a little comedy in my horror.
Mhm.
I truly do. When it's almost like a nod and a wink to the camera, where they know who's going to get off, you know, and
Yeah.
it's done with a wink and a smile. So I think I enjoy those more than any.
It's easier. It's easier to digest.
Yeah. So when you are writing, are these mostly horror type stories or I mean kind of like along in that same vein?
Yeah, I so far I really like writing fiction. I've done a few nonfiction. I still am working with an editor to get something published about the Appalachian Mountains, and it
Hmm.
has like all different types of stories in it. But I just really like writing fiction. I feel like I have more room to breathe and to let my creative juices flow. But I think my favorite thing to do is taking something that happened to me and then just messing it up. Like
There you go.
just taking it as inspo. Like the story, I don't know which one of you messaged me, but it was about the caregiver story. I had a weird experience. And I'm kind of writing something off of that and making it fiction. So I like doing stuff like that.
So you take an experience, let's say the Bell Witch Cave, and
Mhm.
maybe you want to use that, or maybe for other reasons you want to change it to another name or whatever. But you take your experiences, and do you find yourself saying, "Okay, this happened to me, but what if?" Or what if we heard this? Or what if we saw this? Or what if, and you kind of play off a central theme, but you start to bring different scenarios into it. Is that the kind of thing that appeals to you?
Kind of, yeah. I'm more gravitating towards this happened to me and like this is why. Like here's the creepy, grotesque explanation for why I experienced what I did. Is kind of
Mhm.
how I've been doing it.
Yeah. Do you see these having happy endings or
No, never a happy
not at
ending.
all? Never happened. You like loose ends. Are you a loose end type? Like,
Oh yeah. You
come
need to
back for volume
leave
two.
your reading corner or the movie theater disheveled, or I did not do a good job.
Right. Are these like standalones, or do you see yourself creating a series of these things? Like, this is our heroine, and we're going to take her through all of her different adventures, or does the idea of one and done, standalone, move on to the next thing more appealing to you?
So far one and done, but I wouldn't be opposed to writing something like that.
Where you can kind of develop the character a little bit. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So, other than that, getting away from horror investigating stories, outside of it, what do you like to do? I mean, just to get away from all this stuff and just, something else that you might like.
Oh,
Tough one.
I'm trying to think of something that doesn't involve scary stuff.
You're right. Exactly.
I oh my God.
This is
Do I
taking a
not have
long time
personality?
here. I'm starting to worry about you.
I started watching Gilmore Girls recently. That's like the only non-scary thing about me. I adopt cats, but I have
Okay.
6, so that could also be considered as scary at this point.
you're I think you're on the bubble with that. I know what you're saying. I don't think that you got crazy cat lady quite yet in your future, but I think I don't know what the magic number is, maybe 8. So
Probably 8.
you got a little room to play with. If there's 8 cats in the house, people are just going to say you need to talk to someone.
You need to get some new friends or something.
Hey, I want to talk about your husband, his involvement in this type of stuff. Is he a ghost head like we are? Is he just kind of along for the ride? Thinks it's a cool thing? Like, what's his perspective on all this?
So it started with him just supporting me. He'd never really had an experience, but he was just happy that I was happy. I was finally because we got together when I was 18, so he watched me kind of form into who I've always been, but I hid out of shame. Um, so the more he was with me, he started actually experiencing things himself. And
Mm,
that's kind of morphed into him having a lot of experiences. That happens a lot around me, I've noticed. If you're just around me for too long, you start to see weird stuff. Like there's this little girl spirit that's just been around me my entire life and everyone has seen her that's physically with me. So yeah, things like that. He's just in it now, unfortunately. I wonder if he hates me for it.
well, you never know. It's just like get another cat. Get another cat. Um, does it concern you? Let's go paranormal theory here. When people are around you and there is a common spirit, this little girl, however she looks, do you find that when people experience her, is this like a visual thing where they can see her and then do they kind of all describe her the same way?
Yes, physical and always the same description. She literally, I swear she's just there to scare me. I'm pretty sure she's a manifestation of childhood trauma, but she's always been with me. She looks like the little girl from The Ring. She's always looked like that to me. And everyone that sees her says the exact same thing, just the little girl from The Ring. So it's alarming.
So do you think this is interesting? It's a creation from your own id, like a thought form,
Yeah.
some type that you have kind of projected into the physical realm because, that's interesting.
That's what I think when I started seeing her and around because she's kind of like grown with me in a way. I still call her the little girl because that's when I saw her the most was when I was around her age. But I started seeing her around the time that something really traumatic happened to me when I was a kid. She's
Mm,
wearing a kind of similar outfit. And I think it is a manifestation of that. I've always thought that.
that's fascinating to me. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure those type of cases are out there. It's nothing I've ever come across. Or
Hmm.
maybe I have, but we just never went down that path to
Yeah.
discuss that as a possibility. But you've kind of taken that on yourself in terms of, what her purpose, for lack of a better word, is here. Is that almost along the lines of a spirit guide, Morgan? Or I'm not quite sure how to like where to fit that in a
I don't think it's
category.
a spirit guide. I literally just look at it as just a manifestation of way too much energy with nowhere to go. Because I
Mm,
don't really know how to describe it either, but I know when I became an adult and I started trying to process this thing that happened to me, I started seeing her less and less. So that's kind of where I made the connection of, oh my God, I did that. Like, I think that was supposed to be me.
yeah.
So obviously I could be wrong. That's just it makes the most sense to me because it doesn't make sense that I started seeing her less after I started processing.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you're a pretty objective person, and then your take on Annabelle and all that, just kind of like screams that. It's like I'm not. You're not willing to just buy into like you're the. I'll see for myself type of person.
Yeah.
Have you been in as of yet a place in your head, be it at a location or writing or recording, that you've ever felt like I need to clear my head a little bit here because there's a little bit of dark stuff going on here, you know.
Yes.
Not self haunt, not anything, that dramatic, but it's just kind of like, woo, I'm gonna take a time out here.
Yes. There is a location in Bristol, Tennessee. It's called the Eura Shrine, and every time I visited there, this has happened to me. But it's made for unorthodox practices, so like pagan rituals take place there, and all of those types of things. But the owner takes in haunted objects, and I actually have two haunted objects myself there that I couldn't handle that I donated. But the energy in there is so intense that I have to step back because the way he's made this place, it's actually so cool. If you ever have free time, please research it because it's so interesting. But he makes it to where it's like negative and positive spirits, and they can all coexist. They can do whatever they want within these walls. And it's such an intense feeling in there, and it almost knocks you down. And I think that is the most intense feeling I've had. While I think the Bell Witch Cave's the most active place I've ever been, I've never felt a feeling like the Eura Shrine.
Yeah, is that because of just the energy that? Well, I don't know what he has in there. I don't know if there's memorabilia, objects, oddities. I have no idea, but
I can
yeah,
tell you a few things.
I
It's
please
crazy.
please do. I'm just wondering if it's the people that go in there that maybe leave that kind of psychic imprint or psychic energy where it can go either way. It's good, it's bad, but it's just weird,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely that too. But he has object. There's a haunted doll named Sally. She moves on her own. She does not get along with the other objects. She's in what used to be a mirror scrying room by herself. But when he introduced me to her, I watched her move. Like she smiled. It was really strange. He
Hmm.
has an effigy to, I believe, Ball in there that was made. He has real human bones back in like he has a grotto part, and that's where Sally is. But it's like it's got water in there. It's like I forgot the reason he said that it was like the running water is there for a reason, but I can't remember it right off the top of my head. But yeah, there's bones back there, and there is a coconut, and I cannot remember the exact story for the life of me, but it's connected to Baba Ligma, and there was a picture taken in that shrine. I have it. I will find it if you want. But so they took a picture of one of the owners, and you can see behind her. I swear to God it's Baba Ligma. I have never seen something so clear in my life. And so just all of these objects on top of the two that I brought, it's so much energy, and it slaps you in the face. Like it feels like you're going to get knocked down when you walk in there.
If we're talking about,
Not bad.
no, I understand. If we're talking about pagan or Wiccan, I think the idea of running water is the theory is spirits can't cross running water or something. So it could be, I could be way off, but it may be like a containment type of thing because running water is also supposed to give off energy as well and energize what's
Yeah.
in there. So I don't know, depending on your belief, I'm not sure, but
I
I'll definitely look it up.
I think it's something to do with Shintoism because that's like the whole theme of the shrine. It's like the good balancing the bad because like the outside's supposed to be like good and daylight and the inside's not. It's a real you can investigate it. Like you can go there and visit and investigate, and I highly recommend you do.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Um, Getting back to the idea of dolls, 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 dolls. Between Robert and Annabelle and the Elsa,
Mhm.
haunted dolls. What is it? Do you think that freaks people out about dolls more than I don't know some haunted armoire or something like that, or a rocking chair? Is it just because dolls resemble us as humans and
Mhm.
maybe they look a little bit too much like us? And, what is it about dolls?
It's the uncanny valley aspect of it.
Yeah, that familiarity, like that kind of projection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
has to be. Because nothing else makes sense. It has to be that. It has to be the fact that they look like us, but they're not us.
yeah. Well, that's kind of like the idea of ghosts. in a big
Yeah,
way why people get freaked out, because at the end of the day, ghosts are us. Like, what happens
100%.
to us, they're not, they're not supposed to be here. So I think that's the idea of that. I also wanted to ask you a little bit about when you are reading these stories from people, have you ever felt compelled to get in touch with someone because what you're reading is not just a scary story, but like maybe it sounds like a cry for help? And,
Yes.
and I mean, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I've heard stories that it's like, yeah, there's more here than just I'm seeing shadows and things like that. There is something deeply emotional going on here. You ever been faced with that type of thing? How did you handle it?
100%. I remember one story in particular. It was like telltale signs of schizophrenia because I have people with schizophrenia in my family.
Mm,
And it was one I didn't share publicly, but I reached out and I was like, I'm actually really concerned for you. I'm not discrediting what you're seeing at all, but have you talked to a doctor? Like have you gotten seen? And she did get diagnosed with schizophrenia after that. So that has happened. Um, there was one time a young girl that reached out to me and she was telling a story about it was sort of like a monster like under her bed. Okay, this is where it gets really bad. So, I had a little girl reach out to me. She was probably like 9. I don't know why she was watching my content, and I don't interact with minors. Whatever.
right.
But she was telling me a story, and it sounded like there was abuse happening in the home, and I genuinely did not know what to do. So I was like, "Can you please tell a trusted adult in your life what's happening about the monster? Like, can you please?" And I hope to God she did. So I do get stories like that where it's like this is not supernatural. There's something really bad happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that a lot of times you have opened that door to people. In my own experience, a lot of times, you know, I'll get contacted by someone and, immediately, oh, we need an investigation or something. And I said, well, tell me first what's going on, because investigations are kind of like, they can be an intrusive thing. There's a lot to them. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't talk, can't watch TV. If you've got kids, maybe it's a good idea not to have them there. Do you have anybody who will watch them for the night? And a lot of times, and I think that you probably find yourself in this position, with me, it's an email or a phone call, but sometimes people don't want anything more than to someone to listen to their story. And us, as complete strangers, are hearing things that they probably wouldn't tell their spouse, their siblings, their kids, their family, their coworkers. But maybe we're like a benign kind of like, well, they're into this, so I just want to get this out. So it's almost like, it's not just content. Sometimes it's got to be like a form of therapy.
Yeah. I've had so many people reach out to me. They'll be like, I'm 50. I've never shared this with anyone, but you seem like a safe place to tell it. And they'll tell
Right.
me something that's never been told. And at the end of it, they're like, that feels so good to just talk about. And I think that's one of the most rewarding things about this because I saw it in my own family. Like I said before, I came along and just blabbered. No one talked about it. It just was repressed, and all the weird things that happened weren't talked about. And that's no fun to bottle that in. You feel crazy, and I think that's a really good part about this.
Looking at somebody else, like, your own situation as a child, and then you have this, little girl who's telling you, her story. How do you feel when parents, maybe because they just write it off as imagination, something's going on, and they say, there's nothing there, it's all in your head, go back to bed. and it continues and they just write it off as something. Maybe they don't want to entertain the idea, but sometimes I like to tell people you need to still listen,
Yeah.
because if they feel they can't tell you something, there's going to be a time where they're not going to tell you something that you're
Yeah.
going to need to
And
hear.
I mean, like that little girl too, it's like that monster under the bed could be her way of digesting something that was happening in the house. And
Absolutely.
I think it's really important to listen for key phrases and things like that. But also, if a kid is experiencing something, while I do think, sorry, the camera's going to shake. My husband's plugging it up. It was dying. Okay.
That's all right.
Thank you. um, I think it is really important to just listen, and I didn't grow up in a situation where I was discredited for something I saw, and I
Mm.
think I was really fortunate in that. But I can't imagine me seeing this little girl growing up, or me seeing whatever the heck I saw and being told that's not real and you're crazy by an adult. That would be horrible. So I feel like there has to be a middle ground of I'm listening, but also I need to calm you down. So like I'm not gonna discredit you, but I like you know what I mean? There
I
has to
know
be some
exactly.
way.
I know exactly what you mean. There's nothing wrong. It's a fine line because you don't necessarily want to empower something imaginative, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with just sitting there and listening. I mean, I've had cases where a little girl saw a child in the house, and the parents actually converted a space in their basement into a room for this little girl ghost. And I was like, you can't do that, because on the one hand, let's even if we put away the you're inviting whoever this is in and you don't know who it is, you're also empowering your little girl. It was a little girl. She was maybe about the same age, 9, 8 at the time. You're giving her this where you're feeding into it. And, in talking to the little girl with her parents present, she was saying things like, yeah, I push my dresser next to my bed so the ghost can't get over it and things like that. And it's like, this needs to end now. And
Mm.
you can't be doing things like that. I mean, it's fine to entertain and to listen. And it's another thing to like, okay, I'll build a spare room in the basement for the ghost. It's like
Yeah, no.
somewhere in the middle is the right answer.
No, we need a middle ground.
Hey, your granddad
Oh.
never told you about what he saw in the cow barn, huh?
He did, actually. I
Oh,
can tell you
okay.
the whole story.
Sure. I would like, because this is the
So
thing, because I was curious with the land, everything from settlers to Native Americans to, and I'm just wondering if that plays into that somehow. So please, by all means, go.
we do have okay, this is gonna be a long one. But so a little bit about the land. I don't know much history. I know a little story about the house. The previous owners um had a weird situation happen. It was a tragic, horrible situation in that house. Their little boy got sick. He was probably 9 or 10. I guess nine's the magic number with kids we're talking about. But he was foaming at the mouth, just acting erratic. And if we hear that, we're like, he was on a farm, potentially rabies. But this family heard it and said he's possessed. And they chained this little boy up to a bed in the back room of that house and left him to die. And that happened in my dad's childhood house on that farm. So before that, all we know about the land is there was definitely some indigenous people on it. There's an indigenous cemetery that my parents have taken care of. There was arrowheads and all kinds of artifacts on the land whenever they were excavating to put houses down.
Hmm.
So definitely those roots there. But as far as the barn store goes, it was a milk farm, a milk tobacco farm at the time. And my grandfather had gotten up really early to get up and milk the cows. Like he did every morning, he left the house, walked up to the barn, it wasn't too far. And as soon as he stepped foot in that barn, he said something just felt off. My grandfather was really calm, really patient, Like I said, he didn't say many words at all, but he was really calm. And he watched this black mass fall from the top of the barn rafters to his feet. And then it stood up. It was this black mist. And it stood up and walked through him. And he said the second it did that, he turned around, walked out of the barn like he was in autopilot, but he saw what he was doing. And he walked back down to his family home with every intention to kill everyone in it. So his wife and his 5 kids. But the second he put his hand on that doorknob, the feelings went away. Okay, now we fast forward because there was a weird tie to that. I found a pile of dolls years later. This happened probably in 2020. I walked through that house because my dad was going to tear it down, and I wanted a medicine cabinet out of there that's haunted, which is a whole separate story. But I was going around making sure there was nothing that my family would want, because if this house is going to get demolished, whether it's like a controlled fire or whatever, I don't want anything to get destroyed. So there's like a hole in the wall, this little door that I had never seen before, and I see this mound of porcelain dolls. So I start looking through them, and I pick out 3 of them that aren't broken. And I'm like, okay, this was someone's in the house and they're going to get destroyed. So I take the 3 dolls with me. No one in my family has ever seen these dolls. Ever. No one claimed them, so I didn't know what to do with them at this point. I bring them home. I put them beside of my dryer underneath my stairs. Within the next few months, the dolls were right in front of our water heater. That water heater catches on fire, so we have to buy a new one. And then the new water heater malfunctions and floods my house. So at this point, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I'm like, this didn't start happening till the dolls got there because we're experiencing more paranormal activity. So I put them outside just in case. Paranormal activity kept happening because no matter what I put these dolls in outside, whether it was a locked box or whatever, they were getting out every time. So eventually I find the Euroshrine. I take the dolls there. One of the psychics there, he doesn't know anything about me, has no idea who I am. He doesn't know this barn story that I just told you. Proceeds to tell me that this one doll in particular, that I found with a, like, she had a nail in her back that, I guess it was a barn nail, I don't know. But
Hmm.
he said there was something attached to her, and it acts as a generational curse, and it tries to make the head of the house either hurt themselves or hurt their entire family. And he proceeded to tell me what happened to my grandfather on that farm that he had no idea about. So that was the full circle of that.
Yeah. The idea of putting a nail in an effigy, because that's all dolls are, really. They're effigies. They're
Hmm.
made to resemble somebody or something. The idea of putting a nail in an effigy, I mean, there are people who would probably break that down for you better than me, but that is either, a curse or to break a curse. And I'm going back, I'm just trying to think of these things because it's a hell of a thing you just threw out there. Just that little tidbit that there was a nail.
Yeah.
And like you say, it could have been to hang it up. It's like, we're not jumping to conclusions here, but with everything else in context that you're describing, it's like, holy shit. It's
It's crazy. And that doll and the nail and the other doll, I kept one of the dolls because he said she was benign and just like used as a vessel in a portal, so I kept her. But the other 2 dolls, which was the one with the nail and the one that they thought was a trickster, is
mm,
in the shrine. But yeah, when I was cleaning up the dolls to take them to take them to the shrine, and the nail just kind of fell out of her back. I hadn't even seen it before. But ugh.
yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking of symbolism for that. If there was intention, like you say, could be 100 other, rational reasons for that. But it just seems that there's, on that particular place, um, God, where was your nearest neighbor? Like, how close were they?
So there was one close, okay, there was a man at the end of their road, which would have been the closest neighbor, probably a mile down the road.
Hmm.
and he was accused of witchcraft. My family was very Christian, so he was probably just a peculiar man, but he was accused of witchcraft and no one interacted with him.
Hmm.
That was the nearest neighbor.
Was that a based on anything, or was he just a grumpy old guy who just got labeled as you know? Because
No one
sometimes
ever really
people get a bad rap. Sometimes.
it's usually what happens. No one ever really went into it. I know the house is burned down now because actually it was abandoned and I wanted to like wander into it just to see for myself. But no one ever elaborated to me. Honestly, I should probably ask questions about that because I don't know where that came from. But yeah, no one ever interacted with him.
Did you ever feel compelled, like some people have, to kind of go back to their childhood home, knowing what you do now, and you know, investigating it a little bit, and or maybe you have, or maybe it's just something you'd rather just put in the past.
Oh, I've went back and done some investigating, especially on that farm, because there's just so much energy. But even my childhood home was super haunted that I grew up on. But I think it's just the land. I think there's so much going on with the land, with the indigenous
Mm.
roots and the stuff that happened to that little boy. There's just so much that happened there. I mean, it's in Appalachia.
Well, the idea of having a burial ground there too.
Hmm.
Again, I want to stress we're just connecting dots here because we don't have any kind of documentation. But a little boy being a little boy wandering around maybe disturbs something that he shouldn't,
Yeah.
or and again, we're connecting dots here just so we're clear. But how this stuff comes on all of a sudden is impossible to tell. But there are energies that remain behind, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be us. It can certainly be. That's the whole thing about Appalachians. It's a combination of Native American herbalism, um, you know, spiritualism, and all these superstitions that are brought from Europe. And I'm sure that at one point it wasn't a happy place going back to those times when the settlers came in. Like a lot of places, there's a lot of conflict. And those kind of energies don't dissipate like quickly.
I know
So,
it's not Appalachia, but I think a lot of the energy on the Bell Witch Farm is from the Trail of Tears because it's right there.
okay, let me ask you a different question then. Is it possible, because I want to bring George in. So, is it possible that the Bell Witch story, John and Betsy and all the rest of that people come to visit with that in mind, and they have this mindset that not necessarily is happy, but they're entertaining thoughts of what went on there based on the information that they've gotten. And they bring that kind of energy into this place. Or people bring that kind of energy to go visit Annabelle. And that in itself creates a kind of negative environment that
Yes.
might act up if it's that concentrated, that collective consciousness of everybody who's, ooh, this is a scary place, and then suddenly becomes a scary place.
I think on the flip coin too though, so whenever we did the Bell Witch Cave, we did the private tour, we knew who was there, like we knew our energies. But when I went back, I did a public tour and there was one guy in the group and he was just mocking everything. He was like, "This
Mm.
is so stupid, it's not real." And my husband got scratched like hard on the neck. And we had no negative experiences the first time. So I think it does depend on what energy you bring.
Mm.
100%.
Because you can, I don't know if you want to use the word contaminate, but you can populate a
Mhm.
location based on stories. But if you have this in your mind, then you're bringing that into the environment, and that may easily kind of ramp things up to where they shouldn't be. Kind of like David's telling us about
100%.
Robert. The people go in there, I'm sorry, Robert, and all the rest of this. And, it just feeds and creates something that probably isn't there, you know?
Yeah,
So, George, my boy, I'm going to bring you back in here to take us out. And Morgan will be back to say goodbye, but I appreciate you sharing. It's a great story.
absolutely.
Kind of give a rundown on all of your social media, what everyone can expect. Let's start first with TikTok. Now, there's the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But do you constantly run ideas through your head about what you're going to post next?
Yes, I'm actually starting a new series on what is today? Is today Wednesday? It'll be Friday, but it's something I'm gonna upload every Friday, and it's different. Like I'm gonna do true crime one week or weird history facts and stuff like that. Just like brain, because I get like stale. I feel like I can't keep doing the same thing, and I feel like if I'm not getting bored, but like if I wanna explore new things, then the people watching probably do too. So yeah, I mean, I plan stuff.
Instagram. What can they expect on Instagram?
It's pretty much the same as TikTok.
And again, for everybody that's watching, and if you're also tabbing across on Google, Morgue's Hauntings on each and every one of these platforms. So you guys can access YouTube channel, particularly what is that about?
So that's the long form content. I read stories. We talk about Appalachian folklore a lot. I tell my stories, but it's not watered down. So it's kind of like the way I've been acting on here. I just give all the details, all those kinds of things.
Okay, X/Twitter.
Don't have one.
You don't have a Morgue's Hauntings. I don't know why we've got that listed there.
I think I
Patreon.
do. I don't use it.
Okay,
So
and Patreon.
that I need to get back up and running, but it's more just bonus content behind the scenes. There's a tier on there that like gets you special access to messages because I'm not always able to respond to everything. So it's just little bonus stuff.
All right. And for those who wish to submit stories, the email is right there at the bottom. Do's and don'ts for what they're sending to you. What's an important tidbit of information they need to know, Morgan?
Uh, I mean, you can send me whatever. I cannot promise that I will get to it because I have 4,000 emails sitting right now. So I'll try my best. But don't yell at me, please. Don't yell at me. That's the don't. If I don't get to your story, please don't yell at me.
Now, do you happen to select those that may have additional image or video evidence that go along with it first? Do you prioritize those?
Those are my favorite ones. But no, I don't prioritize. I used to go in order and then I got so far behind. Now I literally just close my eyes and I will point to one and I'll skim it. And if it's like good and like a good story, I'll read it. That's not the best way to pick, but it's how I do it.
And so far, to your knowledge of all the ones that you've read, which one I mean, let's put it to you this way. Those that you've talked about already with Ken, but there's got to be those out there that just kind of give you the shivers because either you can relate to it or you don't ever want to experience it.
Yeah. Funny enough, I think the Appalachian ones get to me the worst, which I don't know why, because I guess because I've experienced it. But other than that, any stories on encounters with La Llorona scare me so bad I've stopped reading them.
Really?
I'm terrified of her. I can't do it. There was one story that got sent in to me of this girl's dad. He was stumbling. They lived in Mexico, and he was stumbling home drunk, and she followed him from the river. And just the way she told it, I said, "This is the last one I'll read. I can't do it." I was so scared.
Now, is what you did as a caregiver, and I remember you telling the story about the woman and the little girl and the vacuuming up the blood. I mean, if you guys have not checked out some of these stories that Morgan's posted out there, it's incredible. And by the way, thank you for what you did. Right now, I'm the primary caregiver for my 91-year-old father. And
Oh.
while he's not deep in dementia in any capacity, he has those events, those visions. Who are those people in here? Your mom was here visiting me, things of that sort. It makes me
Hmm.
think twice. Is there more to it than just the simple aspect of their losing their faculties, or are they crossing into something else? Have you considered that?
It I kind of wonder too if it's a timeline situation, like, maybe there's somehow a timeline cross. A lot of people, when I told that
Ooh,
story, they were like, "What if she's seeing something that happened that she kinda put in the back of her head, but now, because of dementia, it's not in the back anymore, it's up here, and she's kinda reliving it,"
and
which
she's
is horrific.
articulating it, and it seems like it's crazy, but it's so simple and easy to ignore. And you think about that in the sense of, what you did, and you came to this woman's home, but there are so many others that are sent to living facilities, which
Mhm.
is, I think it's a mockery that they call them living facilities if you've been to
Yeah.
some. But you wonder, what they're going through, what they're experiencing, what they're interacting with, and are completely dismissed by the staff.
Yeah.
Just let's better off to just kind of, let's strap them down in their bed than try to find out what it is that they're experiencing. It's just a shame of the matter. Uh, as we close out here, Ken, if you want to come back up on screen, we have kept you so far past the time we expected, and thank you to your husband for plugging you in so we didn't lose you mid-interview.
Hey, it takes her an hour to feed the cats.
You know, just until
He
the
feeds the cats, not me.
yeah, keep them trained. That is awesome. But we are so thrilled that to have you join us tonight, and we hope that this is the start of a relationship. We certainly want to set something up when you and Tej come back from visiting Robert the Doll. That would be a great conversation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Anything else, Ken?
No, I just want to thank Morgan for her time tonight and hanging out with us. It's very nice to meet you. And as George said, listen, we'd love to have you back on sometime and, maybe grab Dave Sloan at the same time they visit Robert the Doll. I think that would be like crossing the streams. That'd be a great show.
Indeed, it would,
Well, that'd
and
be
make
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I'm thrilled with the opportunities of meeting so many of these people. Continued success, Morgan, on your social media platforms. We wish you nothing but the best, and thank you again for this interview tonight. For those of you watching this evening, thank you for participating. Again, more than likely, we will have been in there and chat with you during this pre-recorded interview, and we wish you the best as well. Thank you so much for watching it. This has been Dead Air, Full Spectrum Sunday Night Show. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Good night.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me. Turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her